And there you go. I guess we'll go to the next light source. I kind of don't want to at this point, but. There are a couple rule of thumbs when you want to get the nicest, softest, most pleasing light on your subject's face. And that's put it really close, have it at the right angle, and have a really large light source. In this video, we're going to talk about large light sources because they look really good. And most of the time, if space allows, it's the best decision to make when lighting your subject. The only thing is that large light sources are usually cumbersome. I've experimented with Booklights, large softboxes, and now I'm playing around with this 7-foot umbrella to see what is actually worth the hassle on set. I'm all about efficiency. If it's the smallest light possible and has the most output, least amount of effort that takes from me or the crew that I'm working with, that's what I'm gonna choose. So I wanted to make this video specifically for me, but I figured this would be really useful for my audience because if you're following this channel, or if you're new to this channel, we talk a ton about lighting and real world use case scenarios on production. Most people are gonna be using this kind of lighting scenario for either corporate interviews, documentary interviews, mostly talking heads. So it just makes sense to have this kind of thing going. I'm actually gonna bring you along as I set up each light modifier. Then I'm gonna go into certain use case scenarios that an umbrella is better, or a softbox, or a Booklight that is a lot harder to do than all of the other ones, and how you would transport, bring them if you do need a crew or not. And then we'll go into the quality and type of light that each modifier gives you, whether it's the softness, the roll off, the spill, because that's a huge factor that most people don't take into play when they're choosing huge modifiers, because it's really huge and sometimes you either don't have space for it, or in certain case scenarios, you really don't want a ton of spill like this huge umbrella is giving me. All right, so I'm gonna briefly show you the setup process with all these 3 lighting modifiers because some are just easier than the others. And the whole point of this video is to find the best quality, soft, huge light source that takes the least amount of work as possible. Or for lack of better words, making compromises with image quality for the sake of ease of use. I don't know, we're trying to figure this out together. So we're gonna start off with the 7-foot umbrella, which this is everything. The umbrella, the diffuser, and it's a 7-foot source. So I'm super excited to see the results. We're using the June B500 light, which is another light that's super easy. It doesn't have a ballast. This is basically everything. It's 500 watts, super compact, really easy to go. I'm specifically using this light because it fits the goal of this video, to have good quality light that's compact and ready to go, including the light modifiers and the light itself. So I do have a G200 shining through the window just to create this texture in the background. And I have these house lights in the back to add some warmth. I'm probably gonna blue those up, but that's besides the point. Go into it, bring it straight to the modifiers. We take out the diffuser. You wanna just open it with the diffuser already on, or else it gets a little difficult. Just put it through the ear. There we go. Oh my gosh. This thing is huge. Yeah, so that's basically our ginormous light source. And then we'll just lift this up. That took probably 30 seconds. I actually don't know how long that took, but that was extremely fast. I'm gonna get it plugged in. And this is also an easy setup. I don't have a separate ballast. Plug it in, turn it on, and I'm good to go. And there you go. Now, I don't know if I'm in focus, but now I have a pretty large light source. I can move it from here. And yeah, which is kind of crazy. That was really fast. So you want to tie that around your light source so you're not getting any specular highlights on your actual talent. But that's not, I'm super excited because this was extremely easy to use. I really don't even want to try the other ones right now because if this looks good on my computer when I put it in the editing software, I'm probably just going to use this because this is a gigantic light source. Like if I was standing, because sometimes you need larger light sources to light a whole body. So let me just lift this up. I think this can pretty much, yeah, this lights basically my whole body. I'm standing on my couch, but this basically lights my whole body. That's crazy. That's cool. I guess we'll go to the next light source. I kind of don't want to at this point, but I'm assuming you would want to see that kind of stuff. Jeez, that's crazy. So yeah, the breakdown for this thing is just as easy as setting it up. Just grab this, put it back in its bag, and you're ready to go. This is incredible. Honestly, this is so sick. It's really simple. My wife makes fun of me because I was getting excited about an umbrella. I think I spent $70 for this umbrella and like $20 for the diffusion. Links for everything that I'll be talking about in this video are in the description. So I do make money, yada, yada, whatever that whole thing is. But yeah, that was quick. That was like 10 seconds. So let's get to the next one, which is gonna be the softbox, because I am dreading setting up that Booklight because it's the most complicated one out of all of them. That should speak volumes in and of itself. Jeez, this thing's huge. I guess that wasn't that hard either. Oh, I don't want to take this grid off. I do want to show you guys. Okay, I'll just talk about it and then I'll show you. So the main benefit of having a softbox, I do need to compare the actual light quality, how it looks on the face. But one of the main benefits is the fact that you can put a grid. So you can control where your light is spilling to. As you saw with the 7-foot umbrella, it was really lighting up the background. And sometimes it doesn't matter. Here, I would have loved to have been able to control it a little bit more so I can see more of the slits on the wall with the texture, but I wasn't able to. So I'm just gonna show you guys how it looks. All right, this is also a perfect example. Sometimes you just don't have a ton of space, but grab the light, smack her on there. Oh my gosh. And I am using this on a, oh crap. Dang, we're like figuring this out all together. Like, so you gotta make sure that you do have a light that has a strong enough yoke for a softbox of this size. Sometimes you might have to like crank it. So that's something to keep in mind. Now I gotta move this all the way back so it's not in frame, and that's just the nature of having a large softbox like this. It's not a good thing. That's definitely a con of using a light modifier like this. You do have to just have more space in the opposite direction. Yeah, so that's another benefit of the umbrella is you don't have to have your light stand pushed all the way back, and if you're in a tight space, that's just not happening. Oh gosh. Yeah, this is definitely not as easy as the umbrella. It's not as hard as the Booklight though, that's for darn sure. It's one little quirk about this B500. It's really small, compact, but this yoke is not as strong as I'd want it to be. Obviously, this is one of the biggest modifiers that you can have on it, so I understand, I get it. And I definitely need to sandbag this. So there you go. There's another con to using this thing. Yeah, this is already losing for me because the other one I definitely don't need to bring a sandbag. So this is the softbox with the grid, and as you can see, it's a lot darker. It does lose some output, but I'm probably more separated from the background, and the little slits in the wall that's created from the shadows, it's probably more contrasty because not as much light is spilling onto the background, and it's really, really directional. Obviously some is still because it's directly pointed, but that to me is one of the biggest benefits of using a large softbox like this. Let me just open up a little bit. And honestly, this image is really nice. They're all gonna be really nice. It's all a huge light source. But as you saw in the video, there are tons of annoyances. Like I had to use a sandbag even though I was using a combo stand, and that was a little unfortunate because with the umbrella you don't have to. That thing doesn't weigh anything. You can use any stand, obviously not a flimsy one that's gonna blow over, but I don't have to use a combo stand. I just use it because I didn't want to switch out stands, but that's a pretty big con, and having to push it back and having the light source stick forward instead of it's a whole thing. I talked about it already, so I'm not gonna go into it. But it does look good, and really the only time I would ever bring this out is if I needed it to be directional and I still wanted a large light source. Because at that point, if I just want it to be directional, I'll just use a smaller smaller softbox instead of this gigantic thing. But that's the how I'm gonna be selling this, so if you're interested, message me. So let's get into the Booklight. Right now we have the light that's coming off with this little like vice grip thing that has an extension, then a knuckle, and another one. This one is where our Booklight's gonna go. So let's get that on there. It's probably gonna go around here. So anyways, this light's gonna shoot straight up into this Booklight, and now let's get the 6x6 frame going. Gosh, pretty compact. So this is a Westcott scrim gym. So it's not by any means cumbersome in the sense of like lugging around from gig to gig. Again, guys, this is a single operator situation. So it's not like, if you have a crew, you could do whatever the heck you want. You could build whatever complicated, intricate lighting setups that you could possibly imagine. But recently, that's not how a lot of my jobs have been functioning. I have like 1, maybe 2 people on set with me. I'm just trying to find the easiest thing. So building this frame wasn't hard by any means, but it's definitely not like building the other frames. Now we still got to put the diffusion on, the bounce, all that other stuff to make sure we're good. So I do not enjoy setting this up, and definitely not when I'm not getting paid for it. But it's for you guys, you know, just talking to myself in my living room for you guys. I would never do this alone like I'm doing right now. And we're finally done with the Booklight setup. That was a nightmare. Like, stuff broke. I normally don't do this setup unless I have help, but I figured I'd throw this in here because that's where this whole idea even stemmed from. I wanted a big light source, and I went straight to a Booklight, and I had a bunch of other ideas. So I figured I'd add it in anyways, and now let's go see how it looks on camera. So, I mean, yeah, it looks good. I think it looks really natural. That's the look that I get from the Booklight. I'm gonna summarize everything once I see the footage. It does look really natural. I like the way it looks. It gives this like smooth, high key kind of look. There's lots of spill everywhere, as you can tell from the background, from all over the place. It's hard to control a light like this. And it's not the easiest thing to set up. It's not hard, but I would not do this alone with a 6x6 frame. A 4x4, sure. A 6x4, sure, but not a 6x6 frame, because that was just not fun whatsoever. So here's the lighting setup. These are both angles. I do really love the look. Don't get me wrong. For sitting down, I would move it backwards, but I just don't have the space. So it's like lighting up everything up there. And that just comes with the territory of using a Booklight setup like this. I would love to have had a 4x4, but I don't. So here we are. Those are a lot of the pros and cons. I'll see you guys back at the office, and we'll talk a little bit about everything after I review the footage. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video if it is helpful for you. I'll see you guys there. Alrighty, so I did not want to film in the office today, so I figured I'd take you guys out on the walk, and it's ridiculously bright. But I'm gonna talk about the one that I'm gonna choose and keep because of a bunch of different reasons at the end, mostly so you can actually watch the rest of this video. But yeah, let's go straight into it. The first modifier I want to talk about is the Booklight, which is one of the most traditional setups. Not a lot of beginners use Booklight specifically because they're a little bit more difficult. Light spills all over the place. But That was my least favorite out of all of them. The look is incredible. It like floods so much light. It's really soft, has a really nice roll off on people's skin. It's good to imitate large windows if you do have like a motivated light source somewhere within your frame. It's really nice for that, and you'll see some examples here on the screen. But although it has tons of benefits, it's just harder to set up. It took me like 20-30 minutes, and honestly I almost gave up because I was doing it by myself. Normally I have someone helping me, and if you have people assisting you and you want to go for that kind of look, I mean, the umbrella does pretty much do the same thing, but it is a step above, maybe like half a step above when it comes to imitating large light sources and just being slightly softer than the rest of the modifiers that we used. The one caveat is it's harder to set up, it's more expensive. You can go cheaper routes, but then it's much bigger and not easier to set up. It's still a whole ordeal. I don't want to bring tons and tons of gear. I value being maneuverable and lightweight while still getting really good results. So why would you even purchase a Booklight with the other options that are available? Me personally, I would say if you have a crew and you want that specific look, Booklights are extremely relevant. I like them. I'll probably still use Booklights for certain scenarios, but that's if I have a crew, and I'll probably just rent it for really cheap, like rent the modifiers, whatever, grids, whatever the heck I would need. So with that being said, I'll move on to the runner-up, which is the huge Aputure 150 softbox, which was my personal favorite for the longest time, just because it was easy to set up and it was gigantic. But it's basically the same thing as the umbrella, except not as soft, not as big, harder to set up, more expensive, and it has its place, but it's super deep. So I do need to like set up for the shot. I need to have room in a tight space, as opposed to the umbrella where I don't need as much depth in a room. You could see from the BTS, I had to move the stand back. I had to do a lot of extra things. I had to sandbag the stand. And for me, that's a deal breaker because I have to bring extra gear that's literally heavy on purpose just to get similar results, probably the same results as the umbrella. You guys can decide for yourself. So with that being said, who do I think this modifier is for? Well, you can't really control light that much, or at least not easily, with a huge 6x6 Booklight and with a huge 7-foot umbrella. Light spills all over the place and it's hard to control it. I've experienced it myself, even using the umbrella on different shoots. With the softbox, you can use a grid and you can really control and make your nice, beautiful diffused light directional. It won't spill on the background. If you want to have either a moody look or you want to control which light you spill onto the background, let's say bouncing a light off the roof or something like that, you really want to control the levels in the room. I would say there's no better option for the money than the softbox that's just as easy. So there is a place, I just don't know. If I really want to control light, I'll probably just use a smaller softbox. So I am still selling the 150, and yeah, still love the thing. I have no hate on that modifier. I think they have their place. But ever since using what I'm choosing as the winner, which is the 7-foot umbrella, I don't really want to use any of the other modifiers. I don't want to use a 6x6 Booklight, even though I think it looks better in some situations, because the umbrella is just so easy and it's cheap. It's like 90 bucks. Takes me 30 seconds to set up. It's basically a Booklight because it's shooting light into this white 7-foot surface that is bouncing back and then being diffused, which is what a Booklight does. So for me, and because of all the tests that I did and the results that I've seen, the 7-foot umbrella is gonna be my modifier of choice over a softbox, over a Booklight. And if you're just trying to light your subject, get a nice, pleasing, soft look, I don't really see the benefit in using those other modifiers over this umbrella because of how easy it is and how cheap it is. And it's so freaking fast. It's so fast. So there's not really that much else I have to say about these modifiers. This was all obviously unscripted. So if you have any questions, I know I didn't cover everything, and whatever, it just is what it is. But if you do have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. I am using the Osmo Pocket 3, and I'm using Phantom LUTs that Joel Famularo made for this thing. I can't wait to make a video on them, because for me, it makes this little camera way more usable, like way more usable. I could get incredible colors straight out of camera that look just like my other cameras. I can match it with my other cameras. So I'm excited to make a video on that. If you're interested in seeing that video, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing this walking and talking thing, because I get too distracted. I like see a bird and just forget everything I'm saying. So if it didn't make sense, make fun of me in the comments.